Hello and welcome everybody to Leading Sales from Home. I'm assuming that I'm just looking at your backgrounds. We are all indeed from home, which is fantastic. Listen, we've been working hard at U-Spire to find subjects and to support and challenge our clients and our friends and our contacts and some new people on here who we've never even met before, to make sure that we are ready as leaders for the week and make sure that we're ready to support our customers. What we're going to do today is we're going to give you some input by PowerPoint, and then we're going to have a discussion at the end. If you've got any questions at all, please do ask those questions by the chat mechanism as we go through, because I'm going to leave you on mute until it's time for the conversation to start towards the end. We're probably in about half an hour. So I'm going to now share my screen, and I'm just gonna, hang on a minute, bear with me. Okay, just bear with me. Nearly there. Here we are. Fantastic, it's brilliant to see all your faces there. Okay, wonderful. Great. Okay, wonderful. So in our network, at U-Spire, we have over 2,500 commercial leaders, and you are just 70 odd of them here today. And what we are aiming to do for our network over the next few weeks is three things. Number one, bring you guys as much content and as much information as we can to our leaders with expert speakers. And today we have an expert speaker who I'm going to talk you through. The second is to have some peer-to-peer problem solving. And that problem solving is what we're going to do at the end of our expert speaker here today. And then finally, one-to-one coaching and mentoring, which I'll talk about when we get towards the end. So listen, just before we start, it would not be a U-Spire workshop or a U-Spire session with a little warm-up. So we're going to try something different today. I'm going to ask you, please, to click on the chat. And I'm going to ask you to just put one word to describe how you are feeling right now, here now, Monday morning. One word to describe how you're feeling in the chat. If you'd like to say, we can see your name. So if you'd like to say who you are, what you do as well, that would be great. So what you're doing with your customers right now. And then I'm going to call out some of those words just so that we can see what the mood of our workshop is today. I'll just give you a couple of minutes to do that. Great. Now let me read some of these out as they're coming through. Blimey, we're all ready. We're all ready to go. So I've got huge, can you see those, everybody? We've got huge numbers of positives. Good morning, Helena. Good morning, Fran. Marius is feeling good. Mark Francis, who is the speaker, is feeling a little bit of adrenaline going there. Thank you, Mark. Susie, hi, Susie, feeling proud. Mark, thank you. Darren's feeling intrigued. Laura's feeling isolated. I'm with you there, Laura, actually. This helps, doesn't it? Lisa is feeling energized, fresh, happy to be here, Claire. Positive. Fantastic. Eager, raring, great, positive, well. Somebody's not believing that our colleague Mark Francis is nervous. Fantastic. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so we are ready to go, guys. Thanks for sharing that. And it just allows you to check that you can use the chat function as well. And finally, it allows us to think about, as you're going through, please do ask questions or make comments to all of our participants. And also think about later on, we're going to be asking you to ask some questions of a couple of people as well. Okay. Couple of ground rules. I have put you all onto mute, so I can do that from the center here. When we ask a question later, I'm going to put one of you, take one of you off of mute so that you can talk us through your answer. and be present and ready to talk. And also, please do share via the chat, because with this many people, it's the best way to do things. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our expert speaker. Mark Francis is our Director of Learning at U-Spire. Mark runs and leads the majority of our sales academies, our commercial academies all over the world. And between the two of us, we've created you a brand new sales process. Those of you who know Mark and know U-Spire and know me know that we always bespoke our processes and always bespoke what we do to our client. And today, our client is you, and we are sharing a new sales process, which Mark is going to talk you through. So welcome, Mark. Now, Mark, I think, can you unmute yourself, Mark, or do you need me to do it?
I've unmuted, so can you hear me, Amanda?
I can, absolutely. And there we go.
Fantastic. Good morning, everyone, but I'm also going to say good evening. So I got a text from Natalie Chung from Sydney saying everyone's super excited. She said, I'm overworked and I need to go to bed. It's very late here in Sydney, so it's a good day, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everybody. Our aims are threefold this morning, and they are to provoke you to stop and think differently. There's no question we're all probably even overthinking at the moment, so this is about thinking differently. We do want to energize you, and in particular to understand how much communication is happening in the world today, and that a lot of it might be and is noise. So I want to energize your less actually called a leader, so they're heads of their business, but we're all leading in some aspect given the uncertainty in the world today. So those are the three main aims. And I wanted to say as well that on this call, including Amanda and myself, we are all learning. And so this was a remote session that Amanda ran just last week. And I put the photograph up because it's a different way of communicating that we're all living by at the moment. And I just wanted to mention a couple of the people on this photograph. If you can see it, there's a photograph of a good friend of mine called Duncan McConnell in the top right. And Duncan is an MD of a successful commercial consultancy. So he's leading a business through this difficult time. Below Duncan there is a photograph of Nikki Stapleton. And just like Duncan, Amanda and I have known Nikki for many years, both as a customer of ours and as a supplier. And Nikki runs a recruitment business. So she as well is leading and selling. And then if you look at the bottom left, that's Amna. And Amna Hassan is an independent consultant. So the reason for sharing this is because everyone on this call, irrespective of the role that you're in, is in a position where we need to consider how are we being, who are we being as a communicator, and in that sense, as a leader. So one of the things that I wanted us to think about is when we are communicating, whether it's virtually like this or texts or emails, how many words should we be using? How many words should your texts and emails contain? So my personal goal on this session is to energize you to express yourself, however you're feeling, but do so by saying less. So the big number on the screen, for those who can't see it, is 750 plus, and it represents the number of words that I received from two separate CEOs of food retailers texting me direct to consumer to give me an update on their businesses, activities, and intentions regarding COVID-19. So for the purposes of this session, I started to count the number of words in those texts. And after 750, I stopped counting. So my question to everyone on the call is, how can your messages cut through the noise right now? So the image I put in the screen now is a picture of noise levels by decibels. And there is a bar in the middle for those, again, who can't see it. I am going to call this out because most can see it. That an institution called the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health has recommended that 85 decibels is a recommended exposure for our ears. The reason I'm using this analogy is that in my creative brain, blah, blah, blah in generic communication fits in way above that. It's almost like a chainsaw. Our heads are full of so many thoughts. How can we reduce that noise for ourselves and, crucially, for our customers? So it is more important than ever to be super focused, not just on what we say, but how we say it. So that's about quantity of words. It's about our tone. It's about pausing if we're on a one-to-one conversation to allow the other person both to think and to respond. And so in that sense, I'd love to bring this to life with a real example. And it's a real example because we have the privilege of working with companies that are in the medical sector. So on this call, companies like Edwards Life Sciences, companies like Avanos, Endologics, really important businesses that are helping hospitals and patients right now. So I want you to imagine that you are a clinician who is in a hospital or an emergency unit right now, and you receive an email like this. So you might be reading it word for word, you might be scanning it, but effectively what this email does is what I would call conventionally connect with another human being, in this case, a customer as well as a clinical doctor. And it's very wordy, it's very polite, it's very articulate. And the real substance of this communication is right at the end. I've got the catheter you need. And right now, I have two close friends who are clinical doctors and who have told me that they are working, people have talked in the past about 24/7. They are working probably 23 hours a day, it feels like. And so their ability to take in communications that conventionally they might have read is massively changed. So without doubt, less is vital right now. So I've just put up the same content in simple words. 9 a.m. latest. Got it, sent it, guaranteed before 9 tomorrow. So this is a doctor needing a catheter to help someone with respiratory health. So I just need to know I've got it for the patient in a time frame. And so I wanted to share this very real example with you so that all of us, irrespective of the industry we're in, think through from a customer point of view, how are they likely to be feeling? So on this very call, I know we've got leaders of businesses that are worried that their business will have to cease trading, and they're worried about their staff and their own livelihood. We also have people on this call who have got so much customer demand they cannot meet it, whether that be in critical care, where Edwards Life Sciences are really trying to meet demand, which is exponential. Or indeed, it might be a tea company like the amazing Taylors of Harrogate, where, frankly, I'm a Yorkshire tea drinker and I can't buy any Yorkshire tea in my supermarket right now. So put yourself in your customer or indeed your colleague's shoes before you communicate, so that you truly understand what type of communication and method they would prefer. So in that sense, as Amanda said right at the beginning, the two of us have got together to help create a way of influencing which understands the current situation. And one of the things that we love to do at our business called S.H.A.R.E is work with customers to create their own step process of customer management, we call it. And each time we do that, it's tailored to the customer that we're working with. So for example, a wonderful printing business called Stevens and George, we have a 4-step influencing process called BEST, and the B stands for break the ice, just as an example. So we're now going to show you a recommended step method of communicating, influencing, and perhaps selling to customers right now. Before I do that, I wanted to just touch on your natural, I'm going to call it preference energy. What is your natural preference in communicating? Is it to be clear and blunt and straight, or is it to be quite detail orientated? And this is important because how we communicate naturally, or indeed how we've adapted the way we communicate to the current situation, is an important factor in driving how we can or should communicate with our customers. So we're going to come back to this topic in a moment, but that was just a little taster before we show you what we want to in terms of a step process or method to influence customers. So let's have a look at that now. So here you go. You can see that we've used to spell out a word. The word is share. The importance of sharing time and energy at the moment is very heightened. So we chose a word that would be easy to remember and that was also relevant. What I'm not going to do is go through every step in detail. We hope that it's relatively self-explanatory. But what I am going to do is the first 2 steps in a little bit more detail. Now, the first step is all about show you care. So I'll give you just one example as we show you how to show you care about their business. Here's one example. We have a client in the construction industry who I won't name the client. And I spoke with their CEO last night on the phone for an update. And he said to me that they've made a decision they're going to close business today. And what he meant by that is stop operations so that no one is working at all and no customers are being contacted at all, other than to be told business is closed for business. And he said what that means is no revenue, and it means outgoings because we're continuing to pay our staff wages, quite rightly. So understanding the current response and business activity, which are some of the words in front of you on the screen, is simply critical to then judging your response. Here's another example of a business where this is absolutely vital. There's a fabulous retail business based in Ashbourne in Derbyshire, which is a women's wear retail business, and it's outstandingly good at what it does. The challenge it faces is that the retail stores, it does business online, I might call out, but retail stores, of course, are closed. So as someone that might be working with a company like Young Ideas, a business like that, I need to have answers to all 4 of the boxes you see in front of you. Key people in the Young Ideas business isn't just Anne Wright, who's the wonderful entrepreneurial owner. She's a key person, of course, but it's many other people that work with and for Young Ideas that are important. So showing you care means before you communicate, you're totally in touch with what that business is doing right now in terms of the current situation, so that you adjust your communication style to everyone. Now, let's come back to this wonderful thing called color preferences and color energy. So there are lots of words on this chart, and I know we have a number of our customers on this call who know this chart really well. But for those who don't, this is about understanding, first of all, our own natural energy. My natural energy, and indeed Amanda's, as a preference, is what is called sunshine yellow. So high enthusiasm, positivity, possibility thinkers. In this current situation, and I know from feedback from my colleagues and my family, my main preference of behavior, conscious or otherwise, probably not conscious, is largely a red energy, which is get to the point, make decisions, take control, because the father in me and the businessman in me thinks that's what perhaps is the right thing. I'm not sure it is on reflection, but I'm calling it out for everyone because first, understand your natural preference and your current behavior before you consider perhaps the energies and preference of your customer. So notice these are two major elements of business thinking and an emotional, personal thinking. You put those two things together and you start your communication by showing you genuinely care. So let's take a step back just for a second, and I'm just going to headline some insights that are striking me at the moment as we spend most of our days using remote technology to communicate with each other. And the first top tip is be visual. If your natural style is to phone, think about being incredibly visual. Think about new technology. And so Amanda and I, for example, are using this platform. We're using a number of platforms to connect with customers. Be as visual as possible. One of the people in advance on this call typed out the word isolated in terms of the one word to describe how she is feeling. And so visual contact vital in that journey. I've already said this, and so it's a repetition, maybe it's needed. Be unbelievably explicit in your communication, say less and land your messages, and cut out unnecessary niceness, because actually it's cluttering our brains. So if you have green people energy, be conscious that being super nice comes from connecting visually and emotionally rather than the written word. And the last point is listen with your heart. So when the CEO last night said to me, I'm closing my business, my natural energy would be to respond to that. I'm expressive. I tend to speak immediately. I just shut up and I let the pause be filled when he next wanted to speak. So this is so important right now. And so less is more in terms of words used. So really my final input on today's call is to talk to you about the second step of S.H.A.R.E, which is how do you start a communication or a conversation? How do you hook your customers? And here are 3 top tips. Use a fact. And so let me give an example of a fact. In the last week, 12 hospitals ordered an entire year of stock from one of our customers. And because the system allowed them to do that, all 12 of them received a year of stock. That fact is a pretty relevant fact when a company dealing in that type of product speaks to another hospital who says, I cannot believe you have none of this product. That fact explains the reason. So a question is what it says it is. Ask a question of relevance to make your audience think deeply and trigger. Make sure the question is relevant to their business situation and to their color energies. And the last point, and I've put the word the story, I think this is much more about tell a personal story that is relevant to the situation and to the individual. So those are the 3 top tips. Let's go back now briefly to the aims of this session. What Amanda and I are hoping to do is to help you stop and think, help you reflect, and perhaps think differently, particularly about how you communicate. And then when you do that, you're more explicit and you probably say less and listen more. And that generates an influencing or a leadership behavior that may well be different both to your natural style or to what you normally would have done 2 weeks ago. So let's go back to that S.H.A.R.E model. Just to remind you, here's a template that you can think about and use. Just grab a piece of paper and write the words show, hook, ask, repeat, energize down the left-hand side. Now you can prepare using it, but you can also use it as a checklist for managing a conversation with impact. So from me to everyone on this call, thank you for dialing in, and I hope that it's brought some new thinking and new opportunities to manage in what is an extraordinary situation. Amanda, back to you.
Thank you very, very much, Mark. Fantastic. So yes, so you've now been introduced to our new mod. Hang, just give me 1 second. I've just got some of my other team members in the background. I'm just going to ask them to be quiet for a minute. Guys, can you just give me half an hour, please? Thank you. We're just frantically trying to print off schoolwork here. So it's all going on. Fantastic. So what happens in our network meetings and when we are working with our members in our network is that we share our real life challenges at this stage. So we've had some input in terms of the S.H.A.R.E model, which is all about how on earth are we going to show that we care whilst managing customers. You know, some of those customers, we won't be selling to them for quite a while, actually. Some of them, some of our business might actually need to be mothballed. I work with a number of businesses who sell business to consumer who are not going to be able necessarily to immediately sell right now. Wendy White, for example, who I know is on the call. Hi, Wendy. Wendy sells fantastic something called My Mood Stars, and she sells those to nurseries, to schools, and to individuals as well, which help people to manage their emotions. Now, how on earth is Wendy going to sell now to people who are not in their schools and not in their nurseries, but actually they're at home? So how can you use that S.H.A.R.E model to think really hard around how to connect and how to ask questions and how to get to a point where actually you can bring them, we like to call it energy, bring some energy in and some value to those people. And thanks, Wendy. I can see that you are nodding there. Wendy, in a moment, I'm going to ask you actually what you are doing, and maybe you might want to share one of your challenges with us shortly to think about how you might do that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you to listen to a challenge. I'm gonna unmute. Actually, Wendy, I'm going to ask you if that's okay. We're going to listen to what your challenges are right now, and I can see you there in your pink jumper at home. I'm waving to you. So I'm going to ask you to ask a question. I'm going to ask Wendy to just share how she is getting on, how she is managing. And I know she is because I've seen a lot of the stuff that she's been doing and been talking to her. I'm going to ask Wendy what her challenges are right now. And then we're going to ask her questions in the chat facility that might help her to unlock some new ideas about what she might do with her customers. And there are 70 people on this call, so it's a great opportunity to get some what we would call naive resource behind your sales challenge. So I'm going to ask you to ask questions. You might want to ask those questions. Where at this stage we talk about asking open questions, what, why, how, and so on. And I'm going to summarize some of your questions to Wendy and have a conversation with Wendy around how we might help you to unlock some of your challenges. So if you're okay with that, Wendy, thumbs up. Wonderful. And I'm going to take you off mute, and I'm also going to go back to gallery view and pin you so that we can see you when you're speaking.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Wendy. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. It's surreal. It's surreal for everyone, isn't it?
It is.
Back at home, we're back to basics, board games. The kids have been driving me mad with TikTok and trying to involve me in it as well.
Yeah, and you are doing well. I'm not going to even tell people. You tell people what you're doing to maintain the energy with your clients and others. You tell us what you're doing, and then maybe share a challenge that you'd like to ask the audience on.
Okay, well, it's difficult, as Amanda has said, because my ideal clients are early years professionals, and they're not at school, they're not at their daycare settings. So I'm now targeting parents who are at home and homeschooling their children, and I have offered them a free My Mood Stars workbook with every set of 8 mood stars that they order. However, they're still not buying. I'm not sure why. I can't give them away, although I'd love to. I do know their pain points because I have been a mum of early years children, and I have been a mum of children who are very emotional, bored, confused, and they don't really know what's going on, and they don't have the words they're too young to have the words to express how they're really feeling. But the mood stars, which depict different moods, help the children to find the words to express how they're feeling. So brilliant for children on the autism spectrum and early years children. But my struggle is getting those parents to listen. I'm a worry. I worry about the price. I've brought the price down from $29.99 to $25.99. They're so worth it, and I'm trying to express the value of the mood stars for children. The mood stars are tactile. I don't know if I have one with me. Let me see if I can find one. Just bear with me a moment, guys. Okay, can you see me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, so we've got Worried Star.
Yeah.
They are soft, tactile, squidgy stars that children love to hold.
Yeah.
The difference between these and emotion cards and charts and stones and pebbles and eggs is that they're soft, they're sensory. Yeah. They make great fidget toys. Yeah. Here's Happy Star.
So Wendy, may I summarize what I think you are saying? You are right now, you're refocusing your attention to parents themselves.
Yes.
And that you are now and you've discounted your product slightly, and you need to be able to make sure that those parents are aware and able to buy your product right now when absolutely they need it. So let me share some of the questions that are coming up for you. So somebody's asked, how many parents have you spoken to in the last week about what would help them? So who is that? Let me just give me a second. So Mike, thank you, Mike. And Mike is asking that question to you in terms of how could you speak to parents right now? How could you speak to them? How would you do that?
Well, I think that I can provide empathy because I've been there. I know a lot about early years children and their struggles to communicate. I don't know, Amanda. It's hard. This is why I'm on this Zoom call to see if I can get some help here.
Well, the great news is that actually we've got some suggestions here that you might want to. We don't need you to answer them all here. It's food for thought. Maybe make a note, look at the chat in a minute and see what you think. So somebody's put, there is Jessica here. Thank you, Jessica. There are so many brilliant nationwide groups on social media where actually you might want to focus your attention to parent groups. Somebody back said, do you actually need now a printed catalogue? Might it be worth sending something in the post to some of the people on your list? And I know you've got a list. Might it be worth sending something in the post, perhaps 1 star or something that allows them to see the value of it?
Yeah.
Lots of people, and Deborah Adams, thank you, Deborah, has said maybe think about social services and social workers. So those people who are working with children who will be, some may be struggling quite a lot in the next few weeks. We're only a week into lockdown. Maybe think about social workers specifically.
Yeah.
And Jessica also suggested you might want to think about influencers. So people who are influencing children right now, whether there might be a way to do that.
Yeah.
And the final question, before I ask somebody else to pop up here and think about one of their challenges, the final question, oh blimey, they're coming in thick and fast, Wendy. Do take a look at the chats when you've done.
I am. I'm trying to read them all.
I wonder, might the Helena Rogers, thank you, Helena from True Foods, might you want to think about collaborating with somebody? To think about maybe another brand who you could collaborate with that is cutting through to children right now. Yeah, fantastic.
Lots of great ideas here. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, great. So there are please do keep them coming. Please do keep them coming from everybody. I think that's kind of the majority of the things. So please do carry on posting any questions to Wendy. If you think of another, just put question to Wendy. Now then, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask Colin Wright. So Colin, let me just put you onto calendar to here and see if we can see Colin. And I'm going to ask Colin. Colin manages a number of businesses and chairs a number of businesses some of whom are struggling and some of whom are working hard in the food industry. So I'm just going to find Colin. I'm going to ask Colin to share potentially one of the challenges that he's got. Just bear with me. I can't find him. Okay. Right, give me a second. We're all learning all this stuff. I'm going to try unmuting Colin and pinning Colin. Here we are. Here's Colin. And start the video. Right then, can we see Colin? Wow, it's just it's quite an incredible. We've tried all sorts of different. We've been trying all the different platforms, and I can't quite see Colin. Colin, can you unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you are. Yeah. Let's see if we can get Can you start your video? Is that possible?
I can try.
Brilliant.
doesn't seem to want to behave, Amanda, so you might just have to listen to me.
Okay, no problem. Okay, can everybody hear Colin? Thumbs up. Yeah, we can all hear you. So Colin, maybe share something that's happening for you in terms of one of your businesses from a sales perspective where you could use the S.H.A.R.E model right now.
Yeah, Amanda, I suppose because I'm involved with so many different businesses, we're getting quite a varied sort of response to the current crisis. One or two companies are obviously in the food industry, which means the volumes that we're actually putting out to retailers at the moment is actually very high, because you may appreciate that something like 40p in a pound was actually spent out of home. So we're no longer going to pubs and restaurants. That's now actually all going through multiple retailers. So most manufacturers are under considerable pressure trying to actually cope with this. And one of the challenges that we certainly face is how we communicate with retail buyers at the moment, who are finding themselves obviously trying to manage a significantly stretched supply chain. And I think the principle of less is more, and I just did a quick post actually to explain to everybody that attention spans are falling. And in a crisis, because fight or flight kicks in, attention spans actually falls even further. So because everybody's actually pumped with adrenaline trying to actually manage the situation that they find themselves in. So it's very important that we reach out to customers and actually are as impactful with our communication as possible. And I think when we're communicating with businesses that might be closed or trying to stay in contact with customers, I think it's again relevant to make sure that your communication is very caring, which is a very important point you've made at the beginning of this process, and obviously very impactful at the same time. And you deliver the messages that people want to hear and help them to get through what is quite a challenging time for all of them.
Absolutely. Okay, so if you could just summarize to me what your question is then, Colin, that you'd like to ask the group.
I don't so much have a question at the moment, Amanda. Really, I think other people are dealing with probably greater challenges than maybe some of my businesses are suffering from. But you know, it's keeping your team motivated. And when they're locked at home and they're dealing with quite a challenging situation where they're surrounded by children, I've just seen you having to sort out your situation there, Amanda, as well, and you're trying to do business. I think the whole concept of mental health is very important. So,
yeah,
you know, the question I would ask people is, how are you tuning in to all of your teams that are stuck at home and actually helping to support them in what is going to be quite challenging for their mental health? Yeah,
thank you. Thank you, Colin. And one of the things that the S.H.A.R.E model allows you to do is the beginning of that model is the S is actually show that you care. So a personal connection, a human connection with all customers, no matter what you're going to speak to them about or how you're going to connect with them, is critical. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because as the mood changes and as we get used to our situations here, and this starts to be the new normal, how exactly can you get to a point where you can share your mood and their mood without kind of the, you know, what we've been going through, the doom and the gloom of, oh my goodness, how long is it going to last, and so on and so forth. Because actually what we need to be doing is trying to energize our customers and doing what we can to do that. So Susie Edwards from Moy Park has a question, a challenge and a question she'd like to share with us, and a question that we're going to ask. See, I'll summarize the question for you, Susie. So I need to now find Susie. Here she is. And I need to, bear with me, I'm sure there are much slicker ways of doing this. I'm going to find Susie on here and I'm going to unmute her. And here she is. And I think she's already on video.
I am. Can you hear me?
There she is now. I'm going to just see if I can pin you to the top, Susie, so that everybody can see you.
That sounds painful.
Susie larger? Can you see larger Susie now, everybody? Yes?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Susie.
Hi. So I'm Director of Marketing and Insight for Moy Park. So as Colin says, we are clearly extremely busy. The demand is huge right now. the word I put to describe how I'm feeling is proud, because the business is performing so well. Loads of people have gone into the factories. We're recruiting. You know, there's a lot of support going on. Everybody is pulling together, and we're operating on a kind of day-to-day basis. So, you know, regular calls, really dealing with the challenges as they come up each day. So,
Susie, can I ask you? Can you just tell us the types of products that you're selling as well?
oh yeah, sorry,
Highly relevant.
I just presume. I just live in a world of chicken.
I know.
So we do all things chicken. So we do raw chicken, we do prepared poultry. So one of the products that has been stripped from the shelves, demand remains really high. So yes, sorry, I never thought to do that. So I guess, you know, my challenge would be heading up the marketing team. A lot of what we work on, obviously, are future kind of category plans. So, you know, how do we keep focused on some of the things that we've planned for the future, and will they even be relevant? You know, we've got some really good plans. We've got some, you know, really good innovation pipeline as well. But right now we've had to strip back some of the products so that we can really focus on efficiencies at the site. So yeah, I guess that would be my question, you know, how to keep the team still thinking about the future and our customers as well. And, you know, what we need to do potentially to adapt our category plans to what will be a new normal.
Wow, big question. So how do you think about what to do in the future, I guess, in your role, when right now it's literally all hands on deck to get as much stock out as possible? Okay, a great question. So let's just see what answers we've got here. So James Hackett, hi James. Susie, have you thought about harnessing e-commerce reviews at retailers to get some consumer feedback about the future focus given their current buying behaviours? Great question, James, great question. Because their behaviours are changing actually, aren't they? They're changing right now, and they may never go back to where they were before, or they might, we don't know.
Mm-hmm. We've got, loads of information that's coming in. We are doing regular research. It's almost, you know, there's reports coming from all over the place about what the future might look like. So, you know, I think it's, like you're saying, less is more in some ways. So there's just so much information. It's just trying to make sure we're like really understanding what differences, you know, what different things we can do now.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and there's a couple of people who said, I don't know whether you can see your chat there, but a couple of people have said, how can you gather interested parties today, because today, maybe not today, but over the next few weeks, to start thinking about how you might innovate and how you might change what you're doing going forward, or indeed whether what you're doing going forward is the right thing. Gather them now to start thinking about that, because in the next, I don't know, maybe in the next few weeks, as again, as we all kind of get used to this, and in fairness, we might get a bit bored, is to think about how we might do that. So, fantastic. Let me see whether there are any other questions there.
They're great ideas, yeah, and absolutely. I think we do need to keep communicating as well to keep the team motivated. It's, you know, what I found interesting in Mark's presentation is it's not just about the way we communicate with our customers, but also with our teams who might be feeling like everything that their purpose is or everything that they have been focused on right now is not as relevant or not relevant at all. And I don't want them to feel like that. So, yes.
Yeah. And there's a question here from Helena. Maybe work with, are there ways that the market research companies are innovating that might help you to think about how you might get something going forward? I know there is a company called Viper that actually runs in the moment from people's homes. I don't know if you've heard of that company, but again, it's how how are people right now adapting, because actually it's all about energizing your customers going forward, and even just keeping in touch with them using the S.H.A.R.E model to show that you care and you're really thinking about the future and not just what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So is there anybody else got a question? I've got Mike here. I think this might be Mike. I'm just thinking this might be a question for us. The programs plan for each year. I'm going to put Mike on. So let's put Mike on. I can't see Mike's surname actually. So let's, oh here, I think that's you, Mike. I think that's you. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can find Mike. Right, bear with me a second. Hi, Mike.
Hello, Amanda. Hello, folks. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
What a lovely sea of faces.
I know, isn't it?
I'd have put my better shirt on if I'd known you were actually going to call me up.
Aha, you see, you should have known we'd be asking you questions.
I've only got 2
questions. So, Mike, tell us about your challenge, a little bit about your business, and tell us about your challenge and what your question might be.
Can I 2 thoughts? Because I was just, Susie's last point, which is my comment up there. Hello, Susie. We are automatically trying to instill our normal thinking on this situation, i.e., a goal. When will business planning actually work for next year? You know, normally it's July, September. Will we be a bit late? How will it work? I'm seeing a number of businesses have to rethink that, because if this is 3 to 6 months, even just let's call it as we are now, the impact of this is huge on the economy. There's talk of a 15% drop in GDP in April, June alone. So I think there's something about, particularly commercial people, I guess that's most of us on this call, I think. We have that program we got to do today and then think tomorrow. I'm just wondering whether getting through this period incredibly well as we can, love your model, love the show you care bit, might just be what's really going to help. And we have to have an eye on tomorrow, but tomorrow's going to be very different. And I'm still seeing businesses think about planning 2023, and I'm not sure they're putting sufficient focus on fixing this or just managing the current scenario. That's just an observation.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Just so challenge. It's really interesting in your model. We've had a very real thing in the last week with a consumer health business. They wanted us to help them with a communication to field sales about how their field salespeople who are now at home like us, how can they sell to their customers in this current situation? And what's interesting is, shame we didn't have this call last week actually, because I'd have used this nifty new model that I've just come across. But what we did do was we didn't use the show you care, but we had to work so hard with them to even convince them that they should not be just getting on the phone and selling. So I suppose there's the broad challenge is how do we as salespeople, how do we help our customers understand that caring bit that and Mark articulated very well about really listening with the heart, real empathy. How do we help our customers understand that is really critically important? Great. Because so many folk are still defaulting into they're defaulting into what we're programmed with, and they're trying to just take face-to-face world and dump it through the video.
Yeah, so field sales, a lot of salespeople, this is such a mindset change for sales teams and sales leaders because of the way that we're selling, our sales targets and all of those things are actually going to change significantly. And Mike, what you're saying is, how do you change their mindset to share as opposed to flog? Oh my goodness, can you? And you know, there are so many people that I've spoken to in the last couple of weeks who are thinking about discounting, and we heard Wendy there has put a little discount in to add something new to her offer. But how do we do that? Because actually a lot of the things that we're offering still need to be sold. Businesses still need to buy many products and services. So how are you going to get your salespeople, I think you're saying, how do you get your salespeople to have that mindset of share, show you care and energize, instead of what they might be inclined to do is, you know, get out the list and go, what do you want to buy? Does that summarize what you're saying, Mike?
Yeah, it is. It's all about mindset. It's helping people understand, not to just try and translate what they normally do into this new world.
Yeah. What do we think, everybody? Let's have some suggestions about how you go about helping salespeople to think probably more deeply about the customer than they have in a very, very long time. Because actually they need to think about them on a human and personal basis. Think about who they've got in the background, like I have, and think about using that model more, actually. So what do you think Mike's sales teams might do, field sales teams might do? So Mark, thank you, Mark. Mark Harris. Hi, Mark. So Mark has suggested, wow, coming in thick and fast now. Where did Mark's go? Let me see. Here we are. So in terms of the ask, in terms of the ask section of that model, the share model, so we talked about showing you care, hook, and then ask. What questions would you like your sales team to ask your customers right now, Mike? Might be something to think about. So maybe a question Mark has suggested, what exactly do you need from us right now? Or even to be even more sharing, how exactly can we help you with your problems? And I think if I'd unmuted Mark, which I'm not, but if I had unmuted Mark, I think Mark might also say, let's start with some questions around how they are doing, what exactly their key problems are right now, and how they are, how those things are showing up for their customers. So it's not just about your customer, you as your customer, it's the customer's customer as well. How people are, how's that gonna work? So let's have a look at some of these other questions. Yeah, M.A. Davenport here. Hello there. So saying that actually you need to think about how you help your customers to sell more in the current environment, rather than how you can sell more to them. So improve their demand, which will then improve your supply. This is a great question. Great point. Okay. Any other? Please keep them coming. If you want to keep going, then go. So hang on, we got here Mark Francis. Wine is a direct human. So Mike is a wine man. You're a wine man, Mike. I'm sorry, I missed that point.
Anything with
ABV, did anybody
frankly.
else miss that point? We might have some more questions now. I just realised. Mike sells wine, everybody. Consumers, what do you need Mike to help you with right now? Consumers, you all are. What do you need Mike to help you with right now? Okay, well, keep those coming as they come along. Has anybody got any? Just another second. my high yellow and Wendy, thank you. Mike, can you send Wendy a larger glass?
Yeah, for sure.
I was talking to somebody at the weekend and they said, is there such a thing as a breakfast wine?
Yes.
Is there such a thing as a breakfast wine?
Oh, yes.
So I'm going to go to Helena now. Helena Rogers, hello. I can see you, Helena, to share some of her, maybe share your challenge and think about a question that you might like to ask us, the audience. Now, first of all, though, I've got to find you and unmute you. Can you unmute yourself, Helen? May be able to. That's a new thing. I've got you. I've found you. There you are. Hi, Helena.
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
We're doing well.
So just to say hello to everybody. Me and my husband, we run a family business. We have a food business that sells gut healthy breakfast cereals mainly to all kinds of customers. So our biggest customer is Sainsbury's. We also sell to Waitrose and Ocado, Holland and Barrett. And we sell quite a lot direct. Well, it was a very manageable amount directly to consumers, but that's become almost slightly unmanageable because my team are all working from home. So I am now the packer of parcels direct to consumer. I am now the person who has to go to the post office. So I'm actually quite delighted to have my children around because they have now become my workforce to pack parcels that we have to send around Britain. But my challenge isn't about that direct business. My challenge really is, we've gone 2 weeks without an order from Sainsbury's. And they were 70% of our business. We've had an order today for 28 pallets for Sainsbury's, and we'd kind of pulled back a little bit on production because we were thinking we can't have stock sitting there going out of stock, out of date, because you've only got you've got to give you 75%. Now we're like, oh my God, we've got to massively go for it. We've written to all of our customers saying, look, we can be really responsive, but you need to help us be responsive by giving us some kind of heads up into when do you think you might need stock. I don't want to be difficult, but how do we have the right conversations, I guess, where we're seen to be helpful, but really so that we can help ourselves and help them by delivering products that they want at the right time.
Right. Well, while people are asking those questions, thank you, Helena, for sharing that. And there are many food and drink suppliers who have got that problem. And yours is an interesting one because yours is your products are fantastic. Helena, for anybody who doesn't know, sells True Foods, sell amazing granolas, really healthy granolas, and granolas that allow are really good for gut health, which when we're all at home we
good for your immunity.
Thank you. Yes, and your immunity, exactly. So there are so many fantastic benefits of Helena's product, and Sainsbury's have suddenly ordered 28 pallets. What sorts of questions would you need to be asking, do you think, to Sainsbury's, Helena?
And I'm just really cognizant of the fact that my buyer in Sainsbury's is worried about getting Weetabix and Quaker Oats and all the big brands on the shelf. The fact we've had an order I'm delighted about, but surprised about to a certain extent because I know that they're cutting the ranges back. So I just want to get the balance right between by not putting too much pressure on her, but by still being able to make the right decisions.
Yeah. And so how often are you speaking to her, Helena?
Once a week.
Yeah.
By email.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm on the priority scale. I'm pretty low down there.
Yeah. Yeah. So that S.H.A.R.E, when you think about that S.H.A.R.E model, it will be interesting. I'm really happy to talk to you about this afterwards, Helena, actually. Interesting to think about how exactly can you hook her with something that is going to bring her some big value right now.
Yeah.
And it may not clearly value you. She needs her stock on the shelves. You may well not be able to deliver those tomorrow.
I know.
Okay,
that's something to think about, I think. So I know that one of the things she's supposed to be doing is a review on preserves. She's supposed to be doing her big category review on preserves, which has nothing to do with me, but maybe I could help her with that. Maybe she's got some data that she needs analysing or something like that.
Absolutely. Pippa Dunford. Pippa actually used to be a Sainsbury's buyer. And it might be worth connecting with Pippa there. Let me know if you need to. But Pippa's saying, understand exactly what you can do before you speak, and then hook her with the exactly what you need. Could you see that? Hang on.
Yeah, I can see
These
that.
questions are coming in fast, thick and fast now. Hang on, where has it gone? There we go. There we go. So identify when and where Sainsbury's really need.
Yeah.
And then connect with them and be really open and truthful. Be really open and truthful.
Yeah, I will do that.
One of the things I was on a similar thing like this last week, and actually being really honest and upfront and share your concerns and your your challenges with buyers right now is critical. All customers, because actually loyalty has never ever been more important. And I know with a lot of our clients, their loyalty has been absolutely amazing. There are some on this call right now, but their loyalty has been fantastic, not least in terms of continuing with programs and thinking about how we go virtual, but also in terms of payment. So Sainsbury's have just given you a huge show of loyalty.
Absolutely, and you know, we are delighted. Just going back to the loyalty thing, one of the other byproducts of this situation is that some of our customers who can't buy in store are now buying from us directly. We are now out of stock till today, but I've been writing to them saying, I'm really sorry, we're out of stock, I'm getting it on Monday. And some of the letters coming back are beautiful, you know, it's like, oh, don't worry, I'm so happy, I wait for your granola, I'm really happy to have it. And how would I have met those customers if this hadn't happened? So every cloud has silver linings.
Yeah, absolutely, they do. Absolutely do. Let me just see if we've got any other questions. Yeah, lots of people are saying speak to customer, ask what their expectations are, ask how you can help, and then be clear about what you can deliver. And yeah, absolutely, get your children going on the production line. It's a shame you can't get all of them going, but fantastic. Absolutely.
Thank you all for your help. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Now, we have one of our clients is Cambridge Weight Plan, and Cambridge Weight Plan actually is a direct to consumer. Actually, in most cases, those Cambridge Weight Plan consultants deliver fantastic nutritional food, and people come to them to get it. Now, if they come to them to get it, if your consumers come to your door to get your food, to get the food, some amazing challenges there in terms of moving forward, because actually those people still want to get their nutrition in that way, and the way that they do it and the contact has completely changed. So I'm going to actually go to, I'm just thinking that you are still there, Babette Ogden. Babette Ogden is let me just check, here we are, I can see you there, Babette. I'm just going to unmute you, Babette. Hi, Babette, can you hear us?
I can. Hello.
Hello, Babette. Hi. So just tell us a bit about the challenges that you've got. And I know that some of our consultants are also on this call. Can you just tell us about some of the challenges you've got and how you are thinking about supporting your consultants to support all those thousands of people who are really, really trying hard to maintain their health whilst they are stuck at home?
Yeah, well, the great thing is that the company has put a lot of things in place, and we've just launched direct to consumer delivery. So instead of clients having to come in and see the consultants face to face, they are actually able to order specific products directly for the clients and have it delivered directly to them. Obviously, the consultants have moved on to this virtual way of consulting, so seeing clients virtually, doing their weigh-ins and providing lots of support as they normally would have done. The challenge, of course, is that a lot of clients are very worried about income and therefore are either stopping their program or moving to steps where they require less product. And of course, we do have a lot of consultants who have business premises, and they're facing lots of challenges there because most of them are limited companies and therefore at the moment not eligible for support from the government. So, from a business point of view, the consultants are facing a lot of challenges, particularly around income dropping quite dramatically. We have got a lot of them on this call, which is great, because I'm sure they're learning lots of hints and tips from everybody else. So it's kind of about how do people, you know, how are you dealing with the fact that the customers perhaps are worried about their own cash flow and therefore holding back on ordering products? And I think that's coming through from everybody, really.
Yeah, absolutely right. So the question is, how do we continue to work? Well, there's two levels there for you, aren't there? There are your consultants who are all their own businesses, and then you've also got all of the actual clients who are buying your food products right now and will want to continue on the program that they're on because it's working. And how do you do that when people are thinking about the purse strings and minimizing what they spend? Great question. Who's got some thoughts on?
Also, one of the really good things for us, and maybe this is something for Helena as well, is that we have a part of our range which is actually not necessarily for weight loss. These are pre-packed meals that anybody can have. They don't need to be stored in the refrigerator, etc. So it's also about promoting the products in a different way. So maybe for Mike and his wine as well is, you know, maybe you need a children's wine.
Somebody's trying to sell them to us up there. Well done. Well done. Yeah. So, so how do you go about potentially? It was the same question actually, wasn't it? As for one of our other guests, was around how might you get your brand promoted or in collaboration with others who are delivering direct to consumers as well.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see. Suzanne here has put in a similar position in that lots of clients have seen their business income drop off. And how do you focus on supporting them right now in the moment? So the S.H.A.R.E models are even more critical. Let's have a look. Thank you. Some great support there from Vix and Barbara and some of your other consultants here. Any other questions for Helena? Because what I'm going to do now is, just for the last few minutes, I'm going to pass across to Mark, who is our expert speaker today, to maybe give some thoughts using the S.H.A.R.E model on what we've heard so far. So any other thoughts for Babette? And please do just continue to add examples. So Giles, so one of Giles's customers has pushed invoices out to 90 days and you're pivoting to create a local direct service. It would be great actually, Giles. I think we might see if we can come to you now, just for a couple of minutes. Actually, no, sorry. Yeah, let's come to Giles. Let's hold fire for 1 minute on Giles. Right, bear with me. I'm still trying to organize myself here. God, this is learning, serious learning. I'll tell you what, it does look great though, doesn't it? The Zoom situation, it really does. Okay, Giles. Right, Giles, can we hear Giles? Can anybody hear Giles? No, perhaps not Giles. Okay, sorry, Giles. Mark, I'm going to come back to you and ask you just to share with some thoughts before we finish. Please do keep adding your comments in the chat, which we will go back to. If anybody needs anything and wants to make a comment to us directly, please do. And please do keep giving examples as they come across, because you might be thinking right now that you might have an idea for somebody. So let's see if we can unmute audio. Okay, Mark, I think I should be able to hear you now.
Amanda, hi, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
I love the point you made about we're all still learning, because behind me there's a flip chart. I started to write on the flip chart a couple of main points I wanted to reinforce, but the way the camera works, everything I wrote on there was upside down and around the wrong way, so I scrapped that. And so I just want to repeat two things that I think have been inspired by everyone I've heard, and that is, be visual. So to Wendy's example, where she has an amazing opportunity and product, get yourself online, and whether that's LinkedIn or YouTube or whatever platform it is, and have yourself speaking to potential customers. Be visual. It's wonderful to see everyone's face who's speaking on this call, as an example. Second, be unbelievably explicit, unlike we've ever been before. Stop being nice and think it would be awkward if I tell Sainsbury's it's critical, I've got a forecast for my business, otherwise I won't survive. It's vital with that explicit. It's so against the way we normally are. We don't really express that. We must do that now. And we're going to get some amazing surprises where big players go, we're going to look after you because you are important to us and or our values drive it. So visualness and explicitness. That's my headline summary of everything I've heard, Amanda.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Giles has left us some chat here, and Giles's question was going to be, I unfortunately can't seem to get you can't seem to get your mic going, Giles. So your question was going to be, who does anybody here, and there may well be the case, know any suppliers who are going to be able to supply him beer, wines and spirits? Is that correct, Giles? Are you saying you need suppliers of beers, wines and spirits? I think you might be in luck on this call, because I think we've got quite a few. Certainly quite a few from Treasury Wine Estates. Is that your actual question, Giles? Because we absolutely can do that. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Great. Okay, so we absolutely can do that. We'll do that for you when we finish, and we'll connect you with the appropriate people from Treasury Wine Estates and from Chapel Down as well. We also know some gin suppliers, so if you're looking for gin, Chase Distilleries are working hard to get product to their customers as well. Fantastic. Well, yeah, anybody know anybody can supply beer and wine is a great question to ask, isn't it? Fantastic. Right, if anybody's got a really pressing question that they'd like to ask to either me or to Mark, then we've got time for probably one of those. And then we will absolutely be back in touch with anybody whose question hasn't been answered. So if anybody's got any pressing questions, shout now. And I am going, great, Giles. You're going to be inundated with suppliers there. Fantastic. I think somebody earlier said perhaps perhaps you might want to share your email address, or you might want to share your website, or you might want to share a link to your product area, or your anything that you do that you would like to link in, connecting with these leaders here. We've got 70 odd leaders, and you never know, somebody might know somebody. This is the absolute value of the U-Spire network, that somebody might know somebody right here who can support and help you. So please do that as well. So I'm just going to finish up now by sharing my screen again, all being well. Wonderful. Hang on a minute, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Right, can you see my screen now? Mark, I can see your face, so can you see my screen? Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. Listen, we're going to work hard in the next few weeks to bring topics to you that are going to bring you value right now. As things progress, we know that our mood set, we know that our customers' mindset is going to change, and we're going to work really hard to help you as we go through these next few weeks. We're going to bring award-winning speakers. I'll be in touch with how we're going to do that. We're going to bring conversations and allow people to at least see somebody, possibly on a Monday or a Tuesday morning. The peer-to-peer problem solving that we've just worked on was magical for me, because what it does is allows us to realize that we're not alone in our problems, no matter whether we're selling direct to consumer, whether we're selling to businesses, and whatever our product or service is, we're not alone. So that S.H.A.R.E model and how you implement that is really, really useful. So thank you so, so much, Mark, for literally sharing that with us. And then finally, the only other thing that I wanted to say was that from a coaching or mentoring, or even just ask, and thank you so much, Giles, do you know the direct question about can you put me in touch with somebody who does X, Y, or Z is a fantastic question. Please get in touch with us. We've got 2,500 businesses on our database. We will know somebody who can help you. Genuinely, we will. So please do get in touch. If your business needs more help with working from home sales energy, then we're here as well. And if you personally need to talk individually to anybody from our business, then please, please do that as well. Listen, all that remains for me to say is thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing an hour and a bit of your time on a Monday morning, which I know is a really, really valuable space for you to give up. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you again soon, and have a fantastic second week of lockdown. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye. I'm just going to come on to stop sharing so we can let's have a little wave. Little wave. Have a great time, everybody. Have a great week. Bye-bye. Ah. That fills my heart with joy, everybody. Fills my heart with joy. Oh, I don't want you to go now. Don't go. No, go. Bye-bye.